Kia ora class. Today we're going to talk about the concept of commodification. What is commodification? Well, we could define it as taking something ordinary or a cultural practice that is not commercialized and transforming it into a commodity. And that definition comes from a YouTube video by Ali Waller. An example of commodification could be parking. At some point in time, it was obviously free to park wherever you wanted. But then someone realized there is value in being able to park where you want. So it was transformed into a commodity with parking spaces and parking meters and parking attendants who fine you if you don't pay for that privilege. Another example could be the way pounamu and necklaces are made and sold as souvenirs, as tourist items. Pounamu obviously had significance well before European colonization, but the way it's used now is as a commodity. It is something that has a really clear monetary value and people want to make money from it. Let's talk about commodification within the fitness industry. We see on the market there are a lot of dietary supplements which add more value, apparently, than your normal food and your normal diet. We see the rise of personal fitness apps, things that track your heart rate, track your sleep patterns for you, and adding value there. We see personal trainers. You don't need to train yourself anymore. You can pay for that extra value of someone training you for you. The clothes and accessories that are marketed to people based on helping you achieve your goals or being the best for this type of fitness or this type of activity. And then obviously memberships to gyms or fitness centers. The amount of gyms in your community has probably grown a lot over the last 20 odd years because people have seen there's a commodity there that they can sell. They can sell that convenience and the access and that environment to other people. Let's look at some examples in sport. If you look at these two gentlemen here, you can see that even the clothes they're wearing have become commodities with the addition of logos, sponsorship and advertising. I imagine that at some point sports tops were just plain. They served the function of showing the number of the player to help distinguish who was who on the field. But then someone realized that space on their shirt has value and they can sell that. They can turn it into a commodity and someone will pay money for that space to put their logo and to be associated with their sport, their club and that particular player. We see also the selling of subscription or membership fees to a club or to an organization, either one you support or one you participate in yourself. The equipment, attire and accessories which go with sport, the Nike branded footwear, the Adidas football, all those things are commodities. Admission fees or pay-per-view charges, so to go and watch a sport, there is value in that. That has been turned into a commodity. You can't just go and watch. You have to pay for that privilege to watch. There is value there that people are willing to pay for. And same with when it's broadcast on TV. People are charged a certain fee to be able to watch that sporting event. And obviously, athletes themselves have become commodities. Athletes are bought and sold and traded as if they were an item, an object. Let's think about some of the effects of commodification on physical activity, fitness and sport. Some of the positives could be that the money generated from commodification can be put back into improving the experiences of the people involved. For example, upgrading the facilities or equipment, providing the administration and organization to run events and tournaments and things that otherwise wouldn't be able to get off the ground. And also for developing performance. That money might go back into coaching or sports science or research, which helps people be the best versions of themselves they can be. It can also help keep things fair and equitable. For example, by having a salary cap across a competition, you might find that clubs and organisations are able to compete on a more level playing field by treating those athletes as commodities rather than as people. And it also can help make sure that the people who use a service or the people who participate are the ones who pay, rather than it being something that is funded collectively by everyone. The people who enjoy that service or the people who see value in it are the ones who pay. It can also encourage commitment. For example, I read a report about gym memberships that was saying that regardless of how far away a gym membership is from someone's house, the more they paid for that gym membership, the more likely they were to make that trip and use that facility. Some negatives now. Commodification can limit accessibility for certain groups or for those who can't afford it. By putting a monetary barrier in the way, some people are going to be excluded. Sometimes commodification can take away from the spectacle of the competition itself. It's no longer just about the sport. Sometimes there are scandals and drama, which some people would say takes away from what sport is really meant to be about. Commodification can create a larger gap between the haves and have-nots. Generally, wealth creates wealth, so if someone has a lot of monetary resources and they control a lot of commodities, they are going to find that they can generate more and more money, whereas someone who doesn't have access to that is going to fall further and further behind. And it obviously opens the door for things like corruption and other unsportsmanlike behaviours. When money becomes involved, things aren't necessarily as ethical as they could have been otherwise. Let's think a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit further into this idea of commodification. I want you to think about, what is the role of media and advertising in giving commodities their value? What are some cases where people or companies have got into trouble for commodification of specific things? Is it fair to charge people for experiences which are designed to help keep them healthy and well? Should that be something people have to pay for? What differences are there between contracted athletes and other professions where you're paid to do a job on a salary or a contract? What things do athletes do to maximize their commodification value and make themselves as worthwhile as possible? What things might become sports commodities in the future? And have you experienced commodification in your personal physical activity journey to date? Here are the sources for today's presentation. Hope you enjoyed listening to a little bit about commodification and how it exists in the world of physical activity, sports, and fitness.